Lisa Mae Huby, welcome to the School of Self-Mastery podcast. And it is Summer Fridays. Still, we're doing Summer Fridays. I think some people are already like going back to school, but it's still summer for me. I'm not letting it go. So thank you for being here. I'm really pumped to talk about copy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, and we're not talking about like copying other people, although some people do that. But what we really want to talk about is your expertise, which is copywriting. So tell everyone in my audience who's listening to Summer Fridays, like what is copywriting and how would you describe what you do?
Okay, well, copywriting is the art of selling with words. And so basically, in a nutshell, I write words for online business owners that help make the money. I help them sell their products and services so they can meet their income goals faster.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people don't understand how important this is, but it's like, I think one of the most important skill sets and pieces of a business, especially an online business where a lot of the things that you can, like a lot of the communications that you have with your audience are actually in that written form, right?
Yes, exactly.
And even Tyler, my fiance, who's like he's starting a different type of business, but his mentor was telling him because he has to write like product descriptions and they're doing like tons of product descriptions for selling these different products. And it's a drop shipping type of business. And his mentor was telling him, he's like, copy is the most important thing that you're going to do because it's either going to sell the product or it's not. And I'm now that I'm like aware of this skill set, I'm in the business world and I'm always like analyzing other people's copy in different businesses. And we've been looking at houses, and it was so interesting to me to like look at different rental descriptions. And I'm like, the copy makes such a difference. I'm like, I tell Tyler, I'm like, look at this description versus this one. It's of the same exact unit. And I'm like, I want to buy this one because they literally just like put me into their living room and I'm basically already living there. I'm like, oh, it's like spacious and warm fireplace, like all the words that they're using to like sell me. Whereas this other one was like, it's a 2-2 and it's this and it's this and it's this. And I'm like, I don't care. Right.
Yep.
It's so interesting. Like how valuable that skill set is that we so often ignore, especially when we're not well-versed in how we do it ourselves. So I know that you've like really taken a liking more to like doing sales pages. So not just writing like people's, like all their content, like for their homepage or for their about page. I know you could do that too, but like, tell me why you kind of enjoy the sales process even more. So you're doing like sales pages and emails and like email sales funnels and Facebook ad copy when needed, right? So like, tell me a little bit about like, why do you like that better?
I just, sales copy and email sequences and that whole thing, like that's its own element. Mm-hmm. You still incorporate the art of persuasion. Obviously it's amplified because it's sales copy rather than website copy, or, you know, even in content, you still use certain elements of persuasion, but sales pages and funnels and email sequences, I just love writing them. First of all, they're very formulaic. A lot of people don't realize that sales copy, there is a sales formula for everything.
Yeah.
You know,
we're going to go through some of them, which is so cool. Yeah.
And so that's not to say that it's easier necessarily to write, but I love the elements where you get into persuasion and the whole psychology around human behavior and our buying behavior, because we're crazy things. We are crazy creatures and we're highly illogical. You know, we don't buy, once our basic needs are met, we don't buy what we need. You know, unless you're talking toilet paper or food, we never buy what we need. We always buy what we want and what we desire the most.
Yeah. And most people don't think about that, right? Like,
that's right.
They're just trying to sell like, oh, why does this person need this thing? And they're trying to speak to like maybe the more tangible features and things like what's included. But truthfully, and obviously you have more insights on this than I do, but I'm always thinking like, how does this person feel like before they buy this thing, and how are they going to feel after they buy this thing, right? Because it's all based on that emotion. Like, we're emotional buyers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's like some of the stuff that I always am thinking about when I'm writing. Cause you know, I've worked with you, you're writing a lot of my copy right now, but that I'm like a control freak and I like to write all my own copy. Everyone watching us on videos understanding that I'm a crazy person. So I like to write my own copy, and then Lisa May goes through and like makes it even better. And that's usually what I'm thinking, like when I'm in flow of like writing some sales copy, is how does this person feel? Like, let me be really empathetic towards them right now, right? And like really understand, like, how do they feel now? And like, how do they really want to feel? And then I can write all based on that. And mine, like the way I write is it's probably not very formulaic, which is why I have Lisa May go back through and be like, okay, this is great. It's a great start, right? Which is one of your services, is like to go back through and like clean that up and make it more formulaic, but also still in my words, which I think is a big fear of people hiring copywriters. I know that was one of mine. I mean, do you see that a lot where people are like, I don't want to hire you, I need to do this on my own?
Yeah, I hear it all the time. Excuse me, all the time. But it's not necessarily that. You know, they want to do it themselves, because a lot of people don't want to do it themselves. Sales copy scares people. When they have to write a sales page, that's one of the most intimidating pieces of copy for people to write, believe it or not.
Is it just because there's like so much pressure around, like, if this isn't good, then people won't buy my thing?
That people just, they get all in their heads and they overthink. You know, because they hear, oh, you need the headline. Okay, well, how do I write a great headline? How do I write so it grabs people by the collars and makes them read what I'm trying to sell them? And how do I write the benefits? I don't get it, you know? So, and, you know, with some simple changes to the way people write and the way they can approach it, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, so they're less worried about their voice than they are like just getting it right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But that is, I mean, their voice is the other side of it, because, you know, if I can write a sales page, but it doesn't necessarily, like, it might not sound like you.
Right.
And so then, you know, it's all, then you wouldn't be happy, right? You would feel like, well, it's a great sales page, but it doesn't sound like me. So what did I pay you for? So, so that is, you know, a big piece of it. And part of the art of being a copywriter is to capture your client's voice.
It's like so even hard for, I think, people to comprehend how you could do that so quickly, right? And like, I have people on my team that I like working with again and again and again, because they can capture my voice over that time, right? Yeah. But is there like a process that you go through to like really capture people's voices right from the get-go?
I spend quite a bit of time on the phone, actually speaking with people one-on-one, you know, from the initial contact right through until like that project kickoff call, and as well as, you know, written questionnaires. So I take them through a questionnaire where they tell me, you know, what kind of superhero would you be? And, you know, are you more fun? Are you casual? Do you like, you know, this or that? So I take them through a whole list of questions. But between that and actually speaking with the people over the phone and through email, then I get a good sense of how they are and how they would like to communicate. That actually, you know, I like to say that's one of my superpowers, is actually capturing my clients' voices. But every copywriter's process is going to be similar, but they'll have their own unique nuances in how they do that.
Right. Yeah. I just find it fascinating. And I'm sure people that have never hired a copywriter in my audience are probably like a little nervous about that, because I know that was one of the things that always stopped me, because I actually really enjoy writing my own copy, which maybe I'm like a rare bird, but that's why I still like to have control. I'm a control freak, if you didn't notice, like control of that creative process, but then hand it over to someone who's actually a professional, because I'm not trained as a copywriter. And so who am I to think that, that that I don't need support and help around making it much more formulaic, much better than if I just write it on my own. So I think that that's something for people out there to think about in terms of like, you know, if you're investing a ton of time and energy and money and resources, your heart and soul into this thing that you want to sell, but you're not actually using the words to sell it properly, it can do a real disservice to yourself and to the people that might have bought your thing if they actually understood the value of it, right? So
that's right.
The other thing I always think about is like the opposite effect of like, should someone hire a copywriter if they're not really clear on what they do or the value they provide? Because I imagine that's really hard for you to like write something if like it's not like magic, right? Like you have to have something good to be able to put it. Like I always talk about sales funnels, and if it's like garbage in is going to be garbage out, right? And I think it's probably the same thing on your end. No,
it is, exactly, and that's one of the reasons like why I work with clients by application, because that gives me some insight into how far they are in the process, and if they have a good solid grasp on, you know, their audience and their offer and exactly, you know, who this thing is for that they want to sell.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have a clear vision, then they obviously I'm magic, but I'm not that good.
Yeah, like I have nothing to write about this because you don't even know who you're talking to or what it is. And you can help them get more clear on that. And we all, we have tons of resources to help them do that. I know you do. So if you're at that stage, don't worry, but you definitely need to get clear on that before someone just whips something up for you. And I know that, you know, you can like easily look at something and be like, oh, this is not good. Right. And so I think people aren't aware of how important it is. So I love that we're having this conversation, because I can definitely tell I'm like, not convincing. Right. And I'm moving right along. And whether it's in a Facebook ad or an email or on a sales page, and today I really want to focus on emails. So we're going to talk more about that right now. But because personally, I've launched programs without sales pages. We talked about this on the phone when we were chatting the other day, that I've launched things without sales pages, but my emails, like that's important. So tell me a little bit about like, does the copy differ between like, you know, someone writing a sales page copywriting and someone writing an email sequence? Is there something different that they would want to think about?
Well, an email sequence and emails in general are a lot more intimate in nature, because these people are your inner circle. They're the ones that have been with you for a while. They've come in through some kind of an opt-in that you've had at some point. And so you've already got a deeper connection with them. You've got that direct line to their inbox.
Yeah. And we've talked about before how like your landing page is actually one of the most important pieces of copy that you'll write. So like the landing page for everyone out there is the page where your free gift is living, right? Where they have to put their email address in to get that free gift, because that's the first point of contact. They will never see your sales page if they don't make it through to like from the landing page into the email sequence. So the same thing is true. Like, okay, landing page, super important copy, right? Then email sequence, super important copy, because if they don't make it through there, they're never going to hit the sales page anyways.
Exactly. The chances of cold traffic hitting a sales page,
not very
slim.
Yeah, no, I don't know that anyone has ever like just randomly hit my sales page, but let me know out there if you did, because that would be really interesting. But I don't think that happens. And that's why I said, like, sometimes I've even launched programs without sales pages. I've sold them directly through email. And that's how powerful email can be if you do it right. So let's talk a little bit about how someone could write better emails, because I love email lists. I love them, because you have the opportunity to like really deeply connect with people there and give them what they want and what they need and what they're telling you they want more of. But I don't think people properly utilize them. And, if you're moving them through some emails towards a product or a service, you want to make sure that these are really good emails and that people are, number one, opening them, right? And number two, taking action from them. So let's talk about like some of the most important things you would say are needed inside of an email that sells, quote unquote.
An email that sells. First of all, you need a compelling subject line, something that's going to make these people open, because that's where the magic is, right?
Yeah.
Actually opening the email so they read it.
Right. So I was talking to Navid Moazez earlier, and I was just telling you about this on our pre-chat, like, because I was doing an interview for him for his list building school that's coming up. And I was talking about how it's okay to have a small email list, but it's really important that you get those people to open, because if you have a list of 200 people and you have a 20% open rate, really you only have a list of 40 people, right? So like a lot of people aren't doing those calculations very well, or not looking at the open rate as this super important thing, but it really is. And so I'm always working to improve my open rate. What are some things that you could tell other people, like how do they create these subject lines, and what does an average subject or open rate look like? I know you have some statistics on that too.
Yeah, the open rates, believe it or not, hover around 30%. And this is based on some HubSpot statistics for businesses that are sized from 1 to 16 people. So that includes solopreneurs and small businesses. And it's based on sending campaigns anywhere from 16 to 30 campaigns in a month. And, the best open rate I saw was 32%.
Okay, so that was the best one. Because I was going to, So is the average 30?
Yeah, the average is 30. Dead on.
I think that's I think that's high. I think that's higher than a lot of people are getting, I would say.
It is. And I mean, I looked at my own open statistics, and unfortunately, the email service I use doesn't have full reporting, but I did some digging, and I've seen open rates as high as 52%.
Nice.
And as low as 8%. So
right. So you're like, I love that you're like fully saying like, I've had some email subject lines that freaking bombed, right? And it's okay, because you're not going to like hit the mark all the time with people, but always working to figure out how to make those better, because my open rates are not at 50%. And actually, like last week, my team and I were looking at some of that stuff because we had like such varying open rates. I was like, what's going on? I was like, I actually had them like connect with ActiveCampaign because I had a 12% open rate on something, and I was like,
oh my goodness.
I was like, something's wrong with this. I was like, there's no way. And then like something else was like 30, and they're like, no, it was just no one opened it. Like I was like, all right, it's fine. But sometimes that happens.
It happens, and it's not always the subject line's fault either. There are so many factors that can skew these numbers, like deliverability.
Right.
And did you use a word that somebody's email provider didn't like, and it got hung up in the spam filter? Is your subject line longer than 100 characters long? Because shorter than 100 characters is ideal, because then people can see it
the whole thing
in the preview, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're more likely to open it. But
yeah, so we're doing our own digging, but I love that you brought that up, because that's like the first thing for people, because it doesn't matter if you send a really great email if no one actually reads it, right? So really looking at what your numbers are and what you can be doing to improve them, and making sure that so what are some things that would make a good subject line? Do you have any tips for like how they can start writing better ones?
Yes, for sure. How-to subject lines are always huge.
So like how to blank, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And in fact, one of the recent blog posts that I wrote are 4 surefire subject lines for better open rates.
Beautiful. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes too.
Yeah, for sure.
So 4 surefire subject lines. So how-tos, any other like quick tips for them around subject lines?
Listicles or lists. So like 5 quick tips to do X.
Mm-hmm.
everybody, because you're telling the person right up front that, you know what, this is 5 tips. It's going to be a quick read. You'll learn something very fast.
I like that you even use the word quick there, because I'm like, we were just talking about how verbose I am actually right before this chat as well. And so sometimes I bet when people are like opening my emails, they're like, oh boy, what are we getting into, right? It might be that I'm giving them fatigue sometimes as well, because I do tend to write a lot sometimes. Sometimes they're super short and sweet. But if I give them 5 quick tips or 3 quick tips, then I'm stating up front, I promise this will be quick, right? I like that.
Exactly. And it communicates value right up front too. It's not just
a sales email.
A sales email. It's not just like maybe a little dose of inspiration. We all love that, but sometimes you actually, you need to know how to do something. And so that communicates some value right up front. Other ones, you can do piggyback or comparison style subject lines where, what someone or a famous brand can teach you.
So
for
like my Beyonce article.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, what Kim K can teach women about their body self-talk.
Nice. I love it. So here I am being such a great copywriter on my Beyonce article. Yeah, so using people that are in pop culture or media or sports. Like right now, the Olympics would be like, that's something that I'm working on, is like an article on the Olympics, right? Because it's like super hot topic, but what the Olympics can teach you about running your business or whatever, right? Or running your business like a pro. And people are going to be intrigued in that because it's relevant. Or I saw someone who had a really good one about Donald Trump. And it was like something about Donald Trump and business. And it was actually intriguing because it was like the good things about Donald Trump. And so we were like, what is this going to be? What we can learn from Donald Trump. And I was like, now this is interesting, right? Because it made me like so intrigued that I was like, what good thing could they possibly pull out here? Right.
Yep.
So I think that's like so key to be like, it doesn't have to, like, it almost shouldn't be logical sometimes. Like it should make people go, huh? Like I need to open that to see what's in there.
Exactly. I mean, that's another one that you can use, the element of surprise or shock, kind of like the shocking truth.
Yeah.
Those are always great.
The shocking truth
lines too.
About Donald Trump. Yeah. I love it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to link up that blog post as well so that they can read through that, get more quick tips on increasing their open rates. Tell me now, okay, now we got them to open it. What, I know you have like a 4x4 process, right? So here comes that like formulaic thing for people, everyone out there, like get your pencils ready. This is summer school, summer Fridays. Get your pencils ready because you're going to want to write down the 4x4 that Lisa May is going to walk you through so that you can write an email that sells. So is this something that they could apply to like pretty much every sales email?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
And so the first thing you want to do, like tease them a little bit, ask people a question. I mean, the first line of your email has one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to get people to read the next line.
Yeah.
When you tease them a little bit, you ask them a question, and not a yes or no question either, an open-ended question, then that's going to make them want to read more.
So what's an example of like an open-ended question for that? Like, do you have one off the top of your head that they could just be thinking about?
It usually has to do with something like, what your perfect client is struggling with, what they want to do most.
So I'm trying to think of, let's think of my ideal client. So thinking of my ideal client, I'm blanking on like an open-ended now. I don't know why. Like, how would it be open-ended for me? So let's just say that they're like strapped for time and they're really looking to like automate more things in their business. So an open-ended question around that, would it be something like what would you do with 10 more hours a week if you had it type of thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
See how good I am at copywriting?
Yeah.
This was on the spot, people. This was not planned. That's something I could write in an email, right? To get them to, now they're thinking, right? Is that the whole point of that question?
Exactly. And I mean, further down in the email, you're going to reveal the answer. So this isn't just for the sake of
opening a question.
Yeah, it's actually, you're going to give them the answer further down in the email. Beautiful.
So it's like an open and closed loop system.
Yeah.
I love it. Exactly. And I always think about that first line when I'm writing my emails as well. Like I've always been pretty conscious of that. I love your tip around like the open-ended question, which I want to do more of now, is because in your inbox, you can actually usually see that first line of the email. And so sometimes when that first, like the subject line might appeal to me, but I actually always look at that first line too. And I'm always looking at like, do I really want to open this thing? And so I think it's super important to get that first line to be really good, so that people are still, it's almost like acting like a second subject line there.
It is. And I mean, you don't have to ask a question. That opening line is just a teaser of what's in the email. So you can have a little bit of fun with it too. Maybe, take a spin on one of the old jokes. Why did the chicken cross the road? Why did the business coach cross the road? Because they wanted to get, 15 more minutes in there on their live stream or whatever.
Yeah, they needed a break or whatever. Yeah.
So whatever, you can have a little bit of fun with this stuff. You don't always have to be, stuffy and uptight and follow everything to the T.
Yeah, because their hips hurt from sitting in their chair for too long. Can you tell that that's me? I've been sitting. I'm like, I need to go for a walk after this, because I know I actually have a client who is coming on my retreat with me in Key West, and she works on ergonomics for entrepreneurs. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like your prime example of a disaster, because I'm sitting all the time. So so why did the entrepreneur cross the road? To get out of their chair, right? Okay. I love it. Okay, so now we got our opening line, which we want to really grab their attention. What's next?
Yep, and then, you give them the answer. Okay, so like we just said, because they wanted to have a break or whatever that is.
And that is that where you're going into more content, like teaching content potentially, or sales content?
Exactly, and drop some tips for them, some quick and dirty solutions to whatever problem that you want to help them solve with this particular email, whatever the purpose is.
So do you think that so we're speaking specifically to a sales email, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm always trying to infuse value even into my sales emails. And so that's kind of what you're speaking to there is even though it's a sales email, you can still add value to people.
Exactly.
Some tips, injecting some value so that they're not it's just all selling, right?
Yep. You always want to infuse some a degree of value and help people solve just even one little thing with that email.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got subject line, open line. Now we're moving into some content. What's next?
Next, you can tease people with the offer. Okay, so this is where you start to incorporate, you start to lead them into what it is you're selling. So we'll stick with our business coach sit all day example here. So maybe if it's your client that has the ergonomics, she's an ergonomic specialist, or maybe it's a standing desk or something like that she's selling, or even an ebook on how to be more productive without sitting all damn day.
Yeah. I need that, by the way. Anyway.
So then she can tease that. Okay, it's time you stopped sitting on your butt all day and started, taking control of your health, and then she can start to tease whatever that offer is that she wants to sell.
Okay, should she be talking specifically about all the bad things that are going to happen to me if I continue to sit all day? Or does that depend on how she wants to sell the offer?
It can definitely depend on how she wants to sell the offer. It's benefits are always huge. So you obviously you can't have a benefit without the downside of things. So you still have the pain point, but you've got the benefit. And you can definitely, if it's an email sequence, you can write one way. So talk only about the problems you're going to have, and then write the next one all about the benefits.
I love that. Yeah. Like a whole separate email, right? Like speaking to the negative and then to the positive. Because I was talking to one of my other clients this week and she was like, I feel like I've been like pretty negative in terms of like pain point. Here's all the things that you're doing wrong or you should be doing better. And she was like, I think I need like a more positive email. And so we wrote like a more positive spin on the same concept, right? But like just from the positive angle of what could be possible for them and that this is possible for them, XYZ, if they do these things type of versus just continuing to like, she felt like she was doing a lot of negative speak. So I love that you brought that up.
I always like to say in sales copy, you make people feel a little bit bad, but then you present them, you give them hope too. So, there is that element of forgiveness in there somewhere. So you don't want to make them feel too bad.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, now that you bring that up, like maybe are thinking, well, I don't want to make them feel bad. Is there a way to not include that? Or is it just the nature of selling that we need to be able to identify what the pain points are because this is an emotional decision?
Exactly. People need to, it's not necessarily that you're just poking the pain points of the stuff that people are struggling with, but when you identify that, like or when you come out with the pain points, you address those, like that's the elephant in the room, you make that connection with your ideal client and then you have that holy crap, she really understands what I'm going through.
So then there's this, now we have a level of empathy with our people, which we usually do understand, what they're going through in some capacity. And so I think that's important to note. And I think the other thing that, I think about is also like they're having this pain anyways, right? And if I know that I can actually solve it, then it's worse for me not to poke the pain and get them into my program or offer or sell them my product that I know is going to solve their problem, because ultimately they have the pain point anyways, right? Otherwise they're not an ideal client. So if they don't have the pain point, fine. But you're not poking something and then just being like, poke. Okay, bye. Not going to offer you a solution, right? Which is what a lot of people do actually, because they don't like selling. And so instead they're just like poking, like, here's all these problems you've got. Sorry about that. I'm not going to sell anything to you because I feel guilty about selling.
Yeah.
That's worse.
And that is worse. And you always want to position your offer as the solution. Because you already know this person has the pain point. If you're trying to sell something to someone that doesn't know they have a problem, and like it's not going to work. So, you have to know that they for sure have this problem before you can sell effectively what your solution is and that you can help them.
Yeah. So just understanding who your ideal customers are and making sure that those are the people that you're speaking directly to.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've had like conversations in the past where people have, wanted to sell someone a thing, right? A solution to someone who didn't really believe they had a problem or they weren't aware of the problem. And I'm like, that's like a 2-step process. I was like, first you have to educate them that it's a problem. Then you can come in and sell them the solution. But that's like a really long-term game plan.
It is. And that is one of the worst
business models ever.
Yeah. You want, I don't want to use low-hanging fruit, but you want the people that know they have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, and Derek Halpern talks about how you also want people who are like wanting to solve their problem and going to pay to solve their problem.
Yes.
Because there's people that will just continue to be in pain.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're going to be people, they've got the problem. They know you can solve it, but they'd rather have the free stuff. They're not quite there yet and ready to just be done with it.
Right. And so just continuing to nurture those people, I think, is always, like I tell people, like, if you want to consume my free stuff for years and years, if you never buy from me, like, I don't care, like, go and get tons of value from this free stuff, right? Like someone listening to this episode right now is like, if you go and apply this stuff, you can get results. It's just that you have to go and be personally responsible for applying it. And even if you never work with me, that's okay, right? Like that's okay. And for others, they want to, right? So it's like you said, we don't buy what we need, we buy what we want. And so like people that want that extra support, it's up to me to write those emails that sell so that they can understand that there is a benefit, what this benefit is, and why they should work with me or buy my product or whatever, and insert me for you, who's ever out there listening, right? Like same thing, interchangeably. So we got subject line, open line. Now we're speaking, to the benefits or the offer.
That's right. And always come at it from the angle of, what's in it for the reader of the email. What's in it for them? Why do they care that you are selling this thing? Okay, so we go back to the benefits and hitting on their desires. What is this thing going to help them do or be? How is it going to change their life?
Beautiful. And how long should these emails be, or does it matter? Is there like a standard, or like whenever someone asks me this question, I'm always like, as long as it needs to be.
Yep, as long as it needs to be. They're especially for sales emails, because you want to position everything correctly, and you want to provide enough information about the offer that someone can make the right decision about it.
Okay. Should you be like reiterating a lot of things that are maybe on your sales page, or is it completely separate?
No, you can certainly recap, the features, certain inclusions, an FAQ email. You can devote one email in an email sequence strictly to your frequently asked questions.
Mm-hmm. And how many emails, I know we're getting like a little bit off because I want to wrap up with the let's do that, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions that I had based on that. So like, what's the last piece of this email?
The last piece is, besides the subject line and your first line, it's probably the most important. It's your call to action.
Yeah.
You're giving people something to do.
So what are some examples of calls to action? Like, does it have to be buy?
No, it could be if you want them to read a blog post. Okay, so click here to read the blog post. If you want them to download something. All right, so there's specific things when you're telling people to join. Okay, maybe it's join now. You're giving them a job to do.
Yeah. Like, here, this is what I want you to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And come right out with it. Like, just be direct and be very clear about the action you want them to take, because people don't just get that you want them to do something.
No, they don't like we just assume that people know like what to do next. And that's so not true. Like, people want like very clear instructions on like what to do. What do you want them to do next? Is it, you want them to go to that blog? You want them to join now, you want them to hit reply, you want them to join your Facebook group, you want them to look at your Instagram photo, you want them to download your PDF, whatever it is, give them something super clear to do. And I talk about this like in my sales class about like every time that you get them to engage on a call to action is them saying yes to you, right? Like, and ideally they're getting a small little results from each one of those things, right? When you hit reply on my emails, I'm asking you to do something. I'm asking you to share something with me that's going to get you a small result, right? And I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to get you another result. And if you go and download the thing that I linked, it's going to get you another small result, right? So these things add up, and it's people saying like, yes, yes, yes. And then when you sell them your thing, now they're associating. So this is another like, persuasive psychological thing. Now they're associating me with good things, right? Yeah. Like, so now I've continued to give them positive reinforcement. It's like dog training, right?
Exactly.
Which is really horrible to say.
But yes, it's the reward
And the reward is results for their solution, right? It's the solution. I'm like providing small pieces of solution, whether it's because someone wants to feel better in their skin or lose weight or get stronger or play tennis better or get results in their business or write better copy, etc. Like each time they're getting better and better and getting small results towards that thing. So like, even if they never buy from me, which they're more likely to if they are getting small results, but at least they're getting results, which is all I want for my people, right? Like
exactly,
getting them to do the thing, reward.
And one of the biggest things is stay focused on the purpose of your email, which is your call to action. You want them to take that specific action. Don't give them something else to do.
Yeah. So do you have the call to action decided before you, like, is that usually the first thing you decide when you write an email, or are you just trying to make sure it's linked to whatever it is you were speaking to?
It definitely needs to be linked. And when you start to write that email, you want the purpose already in your mind. You know, what do you want people to do?
Yeah, I so relate because my team just gave me an assignment of like the emails that I needed to write today. And so I was thinking about this because I was writing the email and I only got to the first 2 sentences I got through, and I pinged my team back on our team management system. And I said, what's the call to action on this? What is the call to action supposed to be? Because I cannot write this email until I know what the call to action is. So exactly. I love that you said that, because it was like, oh, that's so true. That's exactly what I did today. I couldn't continue writing that email until I knew where I needed to guide them. And so I think that's not an afterthought. Like that should be how I'm directing the email to begin with, you know?
Exactly. Everything from the first word is guiding people through that email to the final action.
Absolutely. I was like, I can't write this until I know what the call to action is. So where do you guys want, where are we going with this? What's next in the sequence, so that I knew how to position that. So I think that's really cool. So subject, open line, benefits of your thing, really positioning those benefits, positioning that offer, and then the call to action at the end, whatever that may be. So now I'm intrigued, if you were positioning an offer and this was a sales email, would you ever put a sales email where there wasn't an option to join now, or where you're not actually linking up the offer, you're linking up a different call to action?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So some of our emails are not necessarily sales emails. So are we speaking, so some of my emails are just to add value to my list and I'm not selling anything, versus if I'm doing a specific sales sequence, should I always be linking to the offer, or does it really depend? Okay.
No, if it's a sales sequence, you always want to be linking to that sales page.
Okay. So perfect. So now they kind of really have a pretty clear, subject line, open line, benefits, call to action. Anything else they should be thinking of when they write those sales emails?
If it is specifically for a sales sequence, make sure you link your sales page at least 3 times through the email. That gives people plenty of opportunity to hop on that. We need to be reminded over and over and over about things. And right. The average person needs to see something several times before they'll actually take any action, which is primarily why people wait till the last minute to take advantage of an offer.
Yeah, which is why I always tell people how many emails they have to send during the last 48 hours, and they cry. And I'm like, no, really, 6 emails. Because people are sitting on that fence until the last minute because we're inherently procrastinators. But I think that's really good to make sure we're linking it up 3 times, because most of the time we're just thinking we're being annoying by linking it up again and again. But if people have to continue to scroll back to find it, they probably won't, right? So you want it within reach wherever they are on that email.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And when you're writing the call to action, be confident. Don't use wishy-washy language. Be right up front, be direct, and have confidence in what you're selling. Because if you truly believe that your offer is going to get someone amazing results, then there's absolutely no reason for you not to have any confidence in asking for that sale.
In that thing. Yeah. I love that, because I could even think of email like call to action lines that I've seen are like, if you're maybe interested, like, no, this might help you. No, right? Like, if you're not confident in that thing, no one else is going to be, right? Like, you need to be direct, like you said. So one of my last questions around this is there a certain set number of emails that you would write in a sequence, or does it really depend on the offer or depend on the person?
It depends on quite a few things. It depends on the offer itself. Higher, and this actually, it also relates to the length of the sales page, which throws a lot of people off. The higher the price tag on what it is you're selling, the more information you need to provide to people. So that means your sales page is going to be longer, and it means you're going to send more emails because it's a
much bigger decision.
Yeah, much higher commitment.
That's super good to know, as I'm always intrigued on like super long sales pages and do they work, and to know that like that's for a higher priced offer. Sometimes people need like all the details, right? Like if they're making that. And what would you consider something that's like higher priced for people out there that are like, what does that mean?
Anything, I would say anything usually over $500 to $700.
Okay.
Is considered a higher ticket.
Perfect.
So the closer you get to that $1,000 mark, the longer your copy is going to be. Another factor that's going to affect this is how well known you are. If people don't really know who you are, or if this is something new that you're launching, then you're going to need more emails and more sales copy.
Right. So if I'm Oprah, it's going to be a little easier for me.
It's going to be a lot easier.
To get away with like 2 emails, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think that this has been super helpful for me just to like talk through some of this stuff. I know I got a ton of tips, and I know that people out there got a ton of tips, but that's not all. They're also going to get access to your emails, right? Mm-hmm. So what are we giving them? We've
got some email templates that will help them write better emails, and they'll be customizable. So your emails aren't going to look like everybody else's emails. So
right. So you're not just copying and pasting here.
That's right.
Beautiful. So it's kind of going to give them a template that they can like plug and play for their own work. I love it. So you guys can go to lisamayhuby.com /Summer Fridays.
And that you might need to spell that for them. It's LISAMAYHUBY.com.
There you go. Lisa May. So LISAMAYHUBY.com /Summer Fridays. You can also go to adriandorson.com /Lisa, and it'll take you to a page where there will be links for all of this as well, just in case that was a lot for you to write down. We want to make sure that you get access to those sales email templates, because that's going to be super helpful as you guys start to write your sales emails, and you want to make sure that you're doing it right, because this is a super important piece of the puzzle when you're launching a business and selling an offer, a product, a service. Doesn't really matter what it is. Like, we talked about why it's so important that you get this right. So thanks for talking us through that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And anywhere else that they should go find you?
lisamayhuby.com. And you can also find me at wordsandmoneymastery.com.
Beautiful. So I'll put links to all that in the show notes. Lisa May, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for talking copy with us. And for everyone else, I hope you go check out the email templates and get access to those so that you can start writing better copy. Because if you don't start writing better copy, you're not going to make as many sales. That's just the truth, right? So
that's right.
Thanks for being here, and we will see you all next week.